fast you were going?
What? How fast you were going?
I don't know. 10?
8.
Be advised, this is an explicit podcast. If you're easily offended, get your panties twisted into a knot. Leave now. Run to your safe space. Get your little cloth for your tears. All the opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and his guest and do not reflect the opinions of any local or government agency. Welcome to MOTORCOP Chronicles podcast. As y'all can see live right next to me, we got a guest. We'll be introducing her shortly. Let's get the housekeeping out the way. If anybody wants a great cigar, you can go to mypatriotcigar.com and order your cigars. Use MOTORCOP 15. You'll get 15% off of your order. And you'll be helping support me, helping support a small businessman in the United States. We all want to do that, right? And I think any order over $100, you get free shipping, or you can send Holstera some because, you know, he's always begging for some cigars for some people. If anybody wants any merchandise, like I got the Foxtrot uniform, Charlie, you know, it says fuck you on it. If you spell it out, you can get that one in the Etsy store or on the website. Go to my MotorCopChronicles.com. All the links are in the bottom. And also have the merch section. You know, all the T-shirts are available there and all the other good stuff. If you want any extra episodes, of course, you can go to Patreon, 3 different tiers. I think it's 200 things on there right now, pictures, videos, extra episodes, text. I'm pretty active on it. Or if you can't afford it, because I understand Joe Biden's fucking all of us and we can get no extra money, I'm still going to keep putting out the free stuff. So we will shout out the full crew members right now. We got Miss Kelly Meyer. We got Jared Nitrous, MotorCop for Life. We got Mr. William Gibo. We got John DeMink. We got T-Bird. We got Hoppy Hoppison. We got Blake Walker. Aaron from the I Had to Say It podcast. We got Mr. Z Palmer. We have Roy Spalding, Roy with the S. We got our favorite girl from down under, JoJo. We got Natasha A. from the state of Washington. And we got my Dan Carlson with Burley Boards. Y'all go check him out. Makes a great product. You'll ship them to you, handmade cutting boards and all kind of other wood stuff. The cutting boards are so good, you can use it for chopping your food up, beating your kids with it, beating bad guys with it if they break in, or if you're feeling really kinky, you can smack your wife in the ass with it too. Sometimes it feels really good. That's what I heard anyway. I'm not a wife. But y'all check him out also. And so I know y'all don't want to hear me talking. Without further ado, we're going to get over here with Miss. Let me unmute her. I got her muted. I'm pretty sure Ivana Williams.
Ivana. Yes, Ivana Williams.
Ivana.
So I'm also at the same time trying to do a little TikTok live too.
We had Sailor George here. I think he might be gone. Kelly Myers here. Hey, Kelly. I didn't know I was going live today either. I was going to interview Miss Williams here, and she decided she'd like to do lives also. So here we are. And she's a former state trooper. If anybody wants to know her story, they can Google her name. It comes up. Like we'll say, and she says on her lives, you can form your own opinion. She is in an appeal process right now, so we're not going to discuss her case at all. We're just going to discuss other stuff. So once all her other stuff is done, I think she said she'd come on here and talk to us about that afterwards. But we're going to wait until afterwards on it. Okay? So that's going to be that. She was live earlier today, and she had a thing. She was, like I said, Mississippi Highway Patrol, so you know, she was a traffic cop. She was a traffic cop that didn't like writing tickets. She was talking about window tint earlier today. And I have a thing. I have a agreement and disagreement with her. I didn't really pull people over for window tint violations. I did write them window tint violations, especially if I pulled them over for something else and they were being assholes. That was basically if you pissed me off ticket. Now, I did make stops for the complete windshield being blacked out because I didn't like that, because to me it's dangerous because you can't see nothing at night. But just, and still today with the normal, somebody has blacked out windows on the side and stuff, I don't mess with them unless I have something else and they're being an asshole. But,
So do you get a lot of people respond to you? A lot of questions?
People don't ask me too many questions because I guess I'm just an asshole.
Well, I guess I can kind of be the moderator. So
I can jump on your TikTok live while we're
Okay.
here. I can just mute it where I can't hear you because I can hear you here. I don't want the thing.
To mess up.
But yeah, because they had some people a while ago. See, there you are, right there. They had some people earlier who were like, "Well, this and that." I do agree. It is very scary walking up to a car. Okay, very scary walking up to a car that you can't see in. But when I do have that situation, which I still do, and if I can't see in the car, I will stop at the trunk and knock on it, and I'll just holler or point down for them to roll the windows down if they already haven't. Once they roll the windows down, I can see in it. Okay, it's safe for me to approach, and I'll approach. Or we can have them step out of the car. In Louisiana, we can do either or. We can make you exit or keep you in the vehicle. It's up to you. Our state police have a policy. If they pull you over, they're going to pull you out of the vehicle, period, every time.
Yeah, we are the opposite here in Mississippi. So we don't want you to get out of the car. So if you're stopped in Mississippi, do not get out of the car until you are told to do so. So it's a little bit different depending on what state you are in. But what I was going to say is I can answer some of the message on TikTok, or you can, and that way I can kind of focus more on one camera than both cameras, and you can
you can focus on yours. You ain't got to look at me. I'm not much to look at anyway.
So we got Jared Reams, 30. That's his username, 36. He said he's about to graduate from Texas. Oh, okay. So old dude 30, Tommy Grappler Ideals. Have you seen that?
Ops
Ideals?
Grappler. I don't know what that is.
So he said it is something that they're using in Arizona, and I think they're using it all over. But it's wherever when you're in a pursuit. But
it's that rope thing that shoots out.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
So he was asking what do I think about it.
I think it's great. You got to get close enough to it. How many shots you get out of it? One. You got one shot.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, they also make a thing. I've seen it in action. It's a spike strip that deploys off of the front push bumpers that retracts in and retracts out.
Oh, there's all types of technology, and that's why I try to tell people on my TikToks is to think outside the box. It's not always about what you've been told and how you've been preached that this is the only way to do police work. It's not. You can do a lot more with law enforcement than just being that typical hard-ass trooper or deputy or city officer. And so it's one of those things that if you want to go out and write tickets, that's your prerogative and that's fine. But, people are coming on here saying, oh, I'm so glad you got out of law enforcement because if you're too scared to write tickets and do your job, then you don't need to be in law enforcement. I never said I was scared at all. And majority of my career, other than maybe 2 or 3 times, I have not been scared because I let my breathing, be easy. And it's always that sixth sense that the hair on the back of your neck, like something's not right. So even working in Jackson, Mississippi, which is a very crime-ridden area, if I had to pull somebody over, I'm still not going to be scared because I'm going to give them the same respect to those people in Jackson that I would give to somebody in Rankin County, which is like a suburb area. So it's really how you present yourself and how you approach a vehicle versus if I was in Jackson and I was like, get your hands up and, have my gun drawn and stuff like that, that's going to hype them up more, So it's a flight or fight mechanism for both of us, the people in the car that you're pulling over and us. So for me, it's just, I wasn't scared. And for people to say, well, you should get out of your job if you're scared to write tickets. It's not that I was scared to write tickets. It's that I'm thinking of the totality of it, and not even from my viewpoint. I'm thinking of it from their viewpoint. Is it right of me to write them a ticket for going 10 over when I go 15 over all day? Now, if they're going 20, 25, 30 over, it's a different story. They deserve that ticket, But should I go 100 miles per hour to turn around on them because I couldn't get out quick enough and I had to wait for traffic to go by and then get out and go 100 miles an hour when they were going 70? And
I've had to go, I've went after people that was doing 100, so you got to go really fast. Speaking of that, this morning, I want to tell you a story that happened this morning. And by the way, Tony's back. That's why I was laughing earlier. Make me a moderator, like I said.
We talked about Tony earlier.
Tony was back.
What did Tony say? Those are not laws.
Yeah, but no, he said ACAB earlier too. He's just back. But I heard my sergeant. He was after a violator this morning that was doing 95. So if you're going to catch somebody doing 95, you're going to have to do 100 plus. Why I don't think he had his lights on yet. He was going to try to catch up with the person before. He calls on the radio. He's like, yeah, I'm after a violator. They were doing 95. And next thing, I don't think he realized he was still keyed up, but he was because everybody heard him. He was like, God damn. Dude just passed me. My sergeant was doing 100 and some idiot passed him while he was. So whoever was doing 95 got away with it because who got pulled over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He passed up the cop that was doing 100.
I've had one of those. I think I was going 80 and somebody passed me going 90. And I was like, are you kidding me? And they noticed it as they were passing me. They slowed down. I was like, too late.
Oh, yeah. Well, y'all didn't have same lane?
No, I was in the left lane and she was in the right lane. And
you didn't have same lane radar? You could click it and clock people coming up behind you while you were moving?
I can, but you see, I was going 85 and I looked at the speed and she flew past me. So I know my speed was 85 and she was going faster than me. So I pulled her over for going 85. And whether that's right or wrong, that's, one of those law enforcement type things. But I pulled her over and I swear there was something wrong with her. I could not figure it out. And I can't stand those type of traffic stops because she wasn't drunk. She wasn't high. She did I could smell weed in the car, but I could tell it was old. So, there was nothing I could really find on her, and I'm not trying to find stuff necessarily. You know what I'm talking about, but talking to the
you were probably like me. I never was one of those cops that pulled somebody over because their license plate light was out or some little bullshit like that. Just to try to, I'm going to pull them over because their license plate light's not out because I'm going to stop them and see if they got drugs or something in the car. I never did that.
Yeah.
I always made sure I had, a lot of times if I stopped you for speeding and you wasn't an asshole, even if you had a whole 5 other violations, I would just say, look, get it taken care of and just write you for the speeding ticket. And because that's what I stopped you for.
Mine was different. Mine was the opposite because if I'm going to go 30 miles per hour over the speed limit to try to get you, it's not going to be a wasted time. So if I did pull somebody over, they'd earn that ticket. But if they had no license, no insurance, all that, I would still write them a citation for those. But what I would do is say, if you fix all of these, if I can remand that speeding ticket and everything, I will remand everything if you get your stuff together.
Well, I'll write you for not having insurance because that could hurt a lot of people.
Yeah. I have full coverage on both my vehicles. And so, yeah, I feel like everybody should have it. But what I present to them is that if you don't have insurance on your car, can you even afford another car? And they're like, well, no. I'm like, so go get insurance. It's like $25 for this beat up car. Go get it. go get it. That way, if you do get in a wreck, you have something there so you can get another vehicle. And most of the time, they're like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." If you present it in a different way, it makes sense. So, and plus, if they go get their license or their insurance at that point, even though I gave them a ticket, I'll remand it. So it kind of puts the ball in their court, but I still did my job. I got them street legal, hopefully, down the road.
Well, I know you said
you
said you didn't like writing tickets.
So when I first graduated in 2018, March 6, 2018, I was a typical trooper. I would go out and, you're not going to speed on my highway, type mentality. I would pull people going 10 over, 8 to 10 over, and give them a ticket. I didn't care what they had to say. It was a ticket no matter what. And then COVID hit, 2020, and people were laid off their jobs. And I actually got a divorce that year. And I started realizing, like, I'm out here giving people tickets and they don't even have a job. They don't know where their next paycheck's going to come from in order to feed their kids and their family. And I'm worried about tickets, so it just didn't make any sense. And so I started being a little bit more lenient. So over the years from 2020 to 2024, I still wrote tickets, but I didn't write a lot. And they started, putting me in doing more recruiting stuff. I started doing mounted patrol this past year and a half, which is our horses division. I did SOG, Special Operations Group. So with all three of those, I really wasn't on the road that much anyway. And when I was on the road, write one or two tickets, but it was more of just like, let me just go patrol. I'd much rather go patrol and go be the nice trooper and show that there's I know this is unheard of to be a nice trooper. So to show them that there was, we are good guys. And the only way to recruit somebody better, it's not about the pay, because if it's a good job and a good career, it doesn't matter what the pay is. People will come because they enjoy doing what they do, right? A lot of people in law enforcement didn't get in law enforcement to make a lot of money. They got into it because they wanted to help people. And so being a recruiter, it made me start thinking, because if I can't change the pay that the department's trying to get, and my job is trying to recruit somebody to the highway patrol, then what can I change to make it more appealing for other people to come on board? And I can change my perception and my how I let other people perceive law enforcement. So my whole mentality is, in order to get your recruiting numbers up, is you have to change society's perspective on law enforcement. And that was what I was trying to do. And that's why I didn't write a whole lot of tickets. I did still write tickets. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I can't believe you didn't write tickets." I never said I didn't write tickets. I just said I didn't write a lot. And these are the reasons why. But,
well, you got some trolls on here. But anyway, we got this one person says, police are meant to serve and protect. Notice it doesn't say write tickets. Let me explain something to you, James Turner. I already kind of know what kind of person you probably are. Let me explain to you why I write tickets. I don't write as many as I used to, but I used to hammer, okay? I used to write the shit out of tickets. And let me tell you why. I didn't write tickets for revenue, because the department I worked for didn't even get the money from the tickets. I'll tell you why I write tickets. Because if I catch somebody speeding, especially super fast down the highway, how do you know that person will go up the highway and get in a crash and kill themselves, go up the highway, get in a crash and kill somebody else, like one of your loved ones? Me stopping them, giving them a ticket, I'm not doing it for the revenue, care less about the money. But the next time that person's driving down that stretch of highway, they're going to think, shit, I got a ticket here. I might want to slow down a little bit. And you people that are bitching, tickets, you're the same son of a bitches that bitch and complain when somebody's speeding in front of your house in your little neighborhood. My kids are out playing, but you don't want tickets, right? So stop bitching. Yeah. Make your mind up.
That's how it was whenever I was working at Brandon Police Department, which is the city I live in. And we would get calls from residents, and they're like, "Hey, I need some patrol in the area, extra patrol in the area for speeders." And it would be the very ones who called in about speeders, just like you said, would end up getting a ticket later on and would say, "Why can't you catch the real criminals?" I'm like, we're here. You called us to come here. We came here and you got caught. And so now you're mad because you got caught versus the other people. So,
Well, the people that complain about traffic, did you know Ted Bundy was caught because why? A traffic cop. Traffic cop is one that broke that case open, okay, because of a ticket, because he pulled him over. That's how Ted Bundy got stopped. A lot of serial killers get caught like that. Oh, how about all the amount of drugs that get taken off of the street from traffic stops? I know a guy personally, he was on, they did one of these Dateline things on him recently I used to work with. He made a traffic stop on a speeder who had a kidnapped woman in the back of it by two guys that were on their way to kill her. Guess who lived? Guess who's now alive because this cop made a traffic stop?
oh yeah, I mean, it's definitely needed. And that's why I say not everybody needs it. You don't need a whole department with people like me, but you also don't need a whole department with somebody who's going to write every single person a ticket. And as much tickets,
I agree with you on that. That's
you have to have diversity.
Just like I never did, like when I first started them, they had me out, I was young, nobody knew me. They had me out buying crack and street clothes. I hated every minute of it. Okay. I hated every minute of being basically undercover. Right. I hated working drugs. I never did like working drugs, but you have cops that love working drugs. You have cops that love, solving burglaries. If you didn't have all these diverse different people wanting to work this different stuff, you can't have everybody wanting to do the same thing. That's why you have all these different divisions.
I'm trying to read some of the comments. Somebody's Tony's on there again. Go talk to cops. Yeah. We talked about Tony earlier, so that's why we're laughing about this. Somebody says I was arrested on a mistaken identity charge, but after 6 hours I was free, but I know good and bad. And surprisingly, I've had something like that before, and you don't know what to do because you're just trying to figure out who the person is because you can't let them go. But at the same time, like, it really does stink for them because there are people out there either using somebody else's social and getting away with it, or, same birth date, same name, things like that. That's why it can be very frustrating. And so it's one of those things that you just, without fingerprints and stuff like that, you just can't really help.
One of mine on here said, Kelly said, I thought it'd be safer than stop sticks to keep. No, Kelly, the one I'm talking about, it's kind of like that grappler, is actually mounted to the police car in the bumper. So you pull up by the car like you're going to pit them, but you don't pit them, and you push a button and the stop sticks shoot out of the bumper. And then when you hit the button again, it sucks back up into it. So it's safer because the cop's physically not out there, but you still have to get beside the car, like a pit maneuver, which is still dangerous by itself.
Yeah. So somebody's asking, was patrol school hard? I've actually, a couple of people asked them about that. So patrol school was pretty hard. I don't know if since you're from Louisiana, I don't know if you've heard how hard patrol school is over here in Mississippi. But for here, it's supposed to be like the top academy in the United States of how difficult it is. Like going through Marine Corps, but it's for police, basically. Wow. And so it was very difficult, but for me going through it, it was more of just like having to be there and do, you're a grown adult. You don't want to be told what to do every single second of the day. And then getting up at, 4:50 every morning, having to eat what they make you. You can't have coffee, tea, any energy drinks. Like, you drink water and that's it. And then you're lucky if they give you like watered down Powderade. Powder? Is that what Powderade?
Powerade?
Gatorade.
Powerade. They have Powerade. Just not powder, just power. Yeah.
And Gatorade. I was putting the two together. So I'm trying to read some of these comments though.
Well, I know when I went through academy was in 1995, so it was quite a ways back. How old were
So,
you then? 6 years old?
1995. Yeah, I was 6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
6 years old when I was in police academy. I'm an old man.
Yeah, I started when I was 21 as a dispatcher for Mississippi College Public Safety Department. And then I went to Madison Police Department. I've worked at Hines Community College Police Department and then Brandon Police Department before I became a trooper. So in and out of law enforcement from 21 to like 28, but got my master's degree while I was sitting out raising babies. And then I finally got in Brandon, worked there a little over a year, and then went into the Highway Patrol and went through their academy and was with them for a little over 6 years. But they don't claim you're a trooper. They don't claim that's your start date until you graduate. So I started the academy October 28th, 2017, and graduated March 6th, 2018. So they won't officially say you're a trooper until you graduate. So
Rusty said he went through police academy in 1987 and that he's old. Rusty, if you'd like to be on my podcast, just get in touch with me. I'll give you a follow. Hit me up, and you can tell some of your stories from back in the day too. Because these new cops don't know how it was being the police before they had all these cell phones and all that stuff. I remember if dispatch wanted us to call in, we had to stop at a payphone or something like that and slip a quarter in it.
well, that's what they used to do over here with the Highway Patrol too. Is I heard that there was like, well, you go on a run. That's what they're called. You have a run. The area you patrol, certain highways, and that's your run. And somewhere along your run, there'll be like a gas station, and if a light was on, and this is old school trooper, so if I'm saying it wrong, if there's any retired troopers that know more than I do, let me know. But if there was a light on at that gas station, then there was a call or a voicemail per se that was waiting for them. So they would pull into the gas station, go to their little phone booth, call into the radio room, or call into their voicemail or whatever it is, and they would get where the accident is and where they needed to go. And that's how they were able to get the calls to come out. So that was, I guess, before CB radio and stuff like that.
Well, when I first started, like I said, we were still running low band 39.5, and we didn't even have portables. We had a clip on our bar lights. When you got on the call, you would clip your mic on it, so if you needed help, hopefully you could get back to your car. If not, you had to handle your own business.
Call boxes. Some guy named Mike said call boxes. Maybe that was what it is. Call boxes.
They used to have those on bridges around here back in the day. They don't have them no more. Where if you broke down, you could, just before cell phone, you could pick up the call box and we go like to the state police or something like that. So.
Yeah, people still are like, why are you not a cop anymore? So I can't read all the comments.
You must be mad because you didn't pay you no attention.
Keep sharing, though. If you guys keep sharing, it helps with the views. And MOTORCOP Chronicles podcast, if you go follow him.
Yeah. We're live TikTok. On there right now, too.
On TikTok?
No, we're live. No, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, okay. Instagram, Vaughn, Twitch, Rumble, like 8 different platforms.
Go to MOTORCOP Chronicles podcast, and you can go follow him on Facebook and TikTok. And great guy, very great with conversation. So let's answer a few more questions. There are a lot of people asking again, why was I fired? Which I still don't get it. Like, if I worked at McDonald's or something and I was like, hey, I'm a former McDonald's fry cook, nobody's going to say, why were you fired? Nobody's going to care. So I kind of wonder what's such a big thing.
They just had a guy convicted out here, okay, for some child porn. Not child porn, I'm sorry, for messing with a teenage boy, okay? The article headline reads, former Ascension Parish deputy convicted of such and such. Okay, this guy, this is a second conviction on it. He hasn't been a deputy in over 20 freaking years. Okay,
Yeah.
this guy hadn't been a cop in so long. Okay, and he was but that's still with a former deputy. He hadn't been a cop. He's not been a cop longer than he was ever a cop. He was a cop for like 3 or 4 years. I think he was in a jail. But that's what they put because that's the sensation on it. You know, it's gonna make you click on it. It's clickbait.
Right.
Just like on YouTube. You ever see some of these YouTube on the little what do they call them? The little catch screens, you know, when you're flipping, looking, and it's a picture of a girl in a bikini or something, half naked. You click on it, and it's about, you know, frogs mating or something like that. It's just clickbait. That's all it is.
And that's the thing with everything that's going on with me is that it's bigger and better news if they say trooper from the highway patrol is fired for such and such, and now they're like former state trooper appeals her decision or appeals the termination. You know, like it's all about news, and that's why they won't put out the whole truth on any of these articles is because it continues to drive the story. And if they would just put out the truth, what I put in a court document, then they, you know, it's no longer a story anymore. So it's just one of those annoying little cases where I wish I could just tell it all, but I got to wait.
Well, how about this? And you'll know for a fact, too. How many times do you hear stories on this cop accused of this or this cop accused of that? And then that's all you ever hear about it. They never go back and say, oh, the cop was exonerated and they found out that the bad guy or whatever was lying on them. They don't come back on the news and put that on there because nobody cares about that. It's not sensational. They don't come back and say, yeah, Officer Bob, you know, Jimbo was lying on him or something. They don't do that when it's found out. It just like disappears because the American people's, you know, attention span is like a kindergartner, you know. They'll forget about it and it just disappears.
Yeah, exactly. It's not news anymore. And so the same thing with my case, and people keep wondering why do I keep going on social media is because I have a method to my madness. Because by the time I actually get to tell my story, I will have so many following, hopefully have so many followers that it will make it actually I mean, I don't want to say worldwide, but it make it bigger to saying, hey, here goes a trooper that was wrongfully accused or wrongfully terminated and she has her job back because you know what? The news might not report about it because that's not a good narrative. That's not a good story, but it will be reported about. And if I have to bring it to the attention of the social media and the world, then that's what I'll do because I'm here to eventually talk about everything that has happened and how it can, deter people at other departments from making the same mistakes, admin and law enforcement officers as well. So it's one of those things that I think it's a lesson, learning lesson and something that could help people down the road. And that's going to be my kind of platform, as you may say.
Tim Chapman popped over. He says, I was watching Ivana on TikTok, didn't like she was on here with me. And then David Summers is like watching from Shreveport, Louisiana. We're getting you can ask anything. Somebody asked what was the topic. We're just talking. So just ask anything on law enforcement stuff wise.
Yeah. So Joe said they will likely make you silence a condition of your reinstatement. So like a non-disclosure agreement. And that's one of those things. Well, right now I don't have a non-disclosure agreement. So, you need to hurry up. So, and I always joke with everybody about everything, like, because if you don't take it, with a grain of salt, then you're going to be in the corner crying about it, So like, it's not the end of the world. The world is not going to, die tomorrow. It's going to be okay. So there's a lot worse situations out there. I'm good. A lot of people have asked me, well, like, how are you doing? And, this has got to be a huge burden on you. And I'm thinking, like, for most people, it probably would be. And to be honest, if I didn't go through the training I went through with, law enforcement, of how you are constantly being called pathetic, you're being told you're never good enough, things like that, then yeah, this probably would be pretty difficult. But I do think law enforcement training academies have a purpose behind it. And should we be taught militaristic type? I think it needs to be half and half. I think it needs to be, yes, you need to be taught militaristic, because when sugar hits the fan, is that what it called? Or shit hits the fan? When
shit hits the fan. When sugar hits the fan, it could make cotton candy, I guess.
All right.
When shit hits the fan, it makes a mess.
Right. It's when shit hits the fan or sugar turns to shit. So either one of those, you have to have both militaristic style training, but you also have to have that de-escalation, because that's a lot easier to talk somebody in the back seat than it is to fight them. Especially women in law enforcement or smaller men that don't have that strength behind them. You have to learn your pros and cons, I guess, and you have to learn your limitations. So my limitations, I know that I'm not going to like roughhouse a 6'5", 300-pound man, but I can sweet talk him, And if that doesn't work, then, we'll get in a fight. That's where that militaristic aspect comes in.
Texas Jimmy James over here on your TikTok is like, I'm in law enforcement. What do you know about law enforcement? A question. Where is it at? I just lost it. But anyway, Mr. Jimmy James, it says you're in law enforcement. I clicked on your thing. Are you lying? Because it says you worked in armed security. Two different things. Armed security and law enforcement, two different things. I have respect for security officers, but you're not in law enforcement. You're in security. Two different things there, buddy. So I don't know what you would like to ask. Since I've been doing this for almost 30 years, I don't know. I know a lot about law enforcement. What do you know about it? She's nice. She's way nicer than I am. She's way nicer than I am.
So, Chad, he said, this is another person. Chad, what does your husband think about this? So, Chad, I'm not married, but that is something to bring up when it comes to women in law enforcement, and a lot of people don't think about it, is, that male ego, right? So my ex-husband is still working for the city department. And whenever I became a trooper, that ego just couldn't handle it, because he assumed I thought I was better than him. He even stated it. He's like, you think you're better than me. You look down on me ever since you became a trooper. And I was like, no, that's your perception of me. But I don't know what Chad is referring to as far as does my husband like it? I'm assuming just, he was asking about me being in law enforcement. But a lot of men can't handle a woman in a powerful role like that. I don't know if you've worked with women in your agency or not. I mean, we got some women patrol officers and stuff like that. Some are great, and some are a little bit too small or not strong enough to do the job. Maybe a little bit worried, I mean, I'm not giant. I'm 6 foot and I'm about 300 pounds. I'm not a small guy, I just know, if you're 5'2", just like I was doing some training not long ago and a couple of years back, and I love this guy. And I'm not throwing no names out. I love this guy. He's a smaller guy. He's probably about 5'3", and probably about $125 soaking wet. We were doing gun retention training. Well, he put his hand on my weapon, a red gun, while we were training. Of course, I locked him up and I went to twist to get him off my gun, and I guess I had too tight of a grip on his hands because his feet wasn't on the ground no more when I twisted, and I spun him around like he was like, I almost slung him across the gym we were in. Okay. It's just, like I said, women can do the job fine. It's like in some situations, though, I think if they come around to a bigger person, they should maybe call for assistance earlier than a man would have.
which I think that's what they should do.
Well, so I agree with you as far as like maybe should they? That part I don't know, but I mean I get what you're saying that women can be in law enforcement, but again I think we're agreeing with the whole aspect of you need to know your limitations. But I don't think that's women per se. I think that's just women and men. And I actually know other troopers that particularly this one who is like 5 foot tall. He's always got a problem with other people. Always has excessive force complaints on him at
You
all
got
the
small man
departments.
syndrome.
Yes, at all the departments he's been on, and he right when he graduated, he was calling in backup from like the city he used to work in because he was running the interstate by the city he used to work in, and I'm thinking like I have yet to be calling backup, and I've been on, at that time had been on 5 years or 4, depending on when he came out. And he's over here, a man, and calling in backup. So,
Well, you got some scaredy cat people out there. I'm gonna tell you, I worked with a guy that was like 6'7", 6'8". This guy was in 300 plus pounds. This guy was ginormous. He's a big motherfucker. Okay, and this guy would call for backup. He called for backup when he had an 8-year-old one time that didn't want to go to school. Okay. He was just, it's like, dude, I mean, just pick her up. Bring her. I mean, you're a giant. If I was that big, I'd just be walking around going, pff, 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 It's like, but he was like scared of his own shadow. David Summers wants to know is, your basic training. How did they treat you in your basic training? I guess, did they treat you any different than the males, or did y'all have separate male-female training?
So with the Highway Patrol, we had, 2 different barracks. One side was for the men and one side was for the women. And for me personally, they treated me harder because they thought I was just some blonde bimbo that didn't know what the heck she was getting herself into. And I kept being asked every single day by one of the TAC officers. And he kept saying, Cadet Williams, why do you want to be a trooper? And every single day I said the same thing. Sir, I wanted to be a trooper since I was 21 years old, sir, And every day I had to tell them why I wanted to be a trooper. And they would call me Barbie, all of this. They would make me, I remember one time we were getting smoked by the flagpole. That's what, that was the area they loved to go to. So we were getting smoked by the flagpole and, it was just rain, muddy, still kind of drizzling a little bit. And we were doing like bear crawls and all this stuff. And one of the techs is like, Dad Williams, you think you're too pretty to get muddy? And I'm thinking like, I'm soaked in mud and water, but yet he's like, get over here. So I had to run up to the front. I had to get on my stomach and do, low crawls and push a tire around the entire platoon over and over because I was too pretty.
They were just trying to make you quit.
Oh yeah. And they would do that all the time because one, they would do these, it was like a documentary they were trying to do and stuff. And they always needed a white female, a black female, white male, black male, right?
Oh, checking them boxes, huh?
So there was only 2 white females, and they loved the other girl. So they would get me to go in there, and I would always be the one in the tack shack. If anybody's from Mississippi on my TikTok that knows what the tack shack is. But I would always have to go in there and be, they would smoke me just because they were trying to get that box checked for the video. So they constantly were on my ass. And I remember a TAC at the very beginning of patrol school. He asked me, he's like, Cadet Williams, how long are you going to stay? And I was like, sir, the whole time, sir. And he looked at me, he started laughing. And 19 weeks later, I was able to go back up to him and I told him, I was like, you remember you telling me that? And he's like, no, I don't remember. I was like, well, I stayed the whole time, didn't I? He's like, yes, you did. So I'm stubborn, I'm hard-headed, and that's one of the reasons why I got through it. And I guess that's a good quality when it comes to people who, like Tony, if he's still on here.
Tony's still here.
Who
Tony's not going nowhere. He just loves it.
Oh, he does. He's loving the
But I'll tell Tony this: we know that you believe that code policies and ordinance are not laws. Okay, you can stop saying it. We know that's what you think, or not unless you got a stutter. Do you stutter, Tony? Because you
Yeah, I
keep
think
repeating it. I mean, we get it. We get it. David Summers says thanks for the answer. He appreciates it and the service. Somebody asked what class number you were in.
so. In basic, I was in class 238, and then in patrol school, I was in class 62. So 238 in basic, I graduated in 2012, and then from patrol school, I graduated in 2018. So two different academies. One was 10 weeks, and one was 19 weeks.
And if anybody, y'all keep asking, if anybody wants to know why she's not in the cop no more, go Google her name. You'll see. And you, like she says, you can make your opinion up for yourself.
Yeah, still in litigation. Can't talk about it right now. As soon as I can, as soon as my attorneys say I can, I am going to write a dang book about it. It is going to be broadcast from every single social media account I have as many times as I can. So just wait. I'm not hiding anything. That's why I'm on here. That's why I'm in the spotlight, is because I'm not going to run and hide. And just, I guess, keep following along. Hit subscribe, and then that way, whenever I do get to say stuff, then you'll be the first one to find out.
Her full name is Ivana Williams.
Yeah, it used to be Cannon Geyser. Somebody asked that one time.
Well, that's a hell of a last name there. Cannon
Yeah.
Geyser.
Growing up in the South with Ivana Cannon Geyser, that was very difficult. My family is my dad's from New Jersey. My mom's from Mississippi, but she was an army brat her whole life. So she's lived in, Germany and all over the world pretty much. So she never really was here until she was about 25 when she came back. But her parents are from Mississippi. But my family heritage on my dad's side is from Bulgaria. So we're Hebrew, we're Jewish. So that's kind of where I get that Ivana name from.
Well, Brad and Rob says he's pretty sure he saw you do incline push-ups on an air conditioning unit at MLEOTA.
Wait, where's this comment? Because he
I
must have.
rolled it back. Brad and Rob, Braden Rob.
Well,
He's not too far up,
I
just a
can't
little
find
bit.
it. But that if you're talking about in the chow hall, that definitely was me. I was doing push-ups. I think it was because I didn't drink all my water. Like, you had to drink 2 cups of water before you left chow. And I remember I had like a little bit left of the second one, but you have to eat so quick and drink, and I had braces on and all that, and I was just trying to chug it down without throwing up. But their whole saying going around the chow hall room was eat now, nose. It
Eat
was
now,
something.
throw up later.
No, I forgot what it was, but it was something. And I just couldn't finish that last little bit of water. And when the TAC officers saw it, and he's like, Cadet Williams, why didn't you drink all your water? I was like, sir, I feel like throwing up, sir, or something like. He's like, well, I'm going to make you throw up. So I had to put my legs on the air conditioner and do incline push up until they told me, hey, but you know what? I was doing a good job too. Like, you gotta be proud of that. Like, being a female, being able to do incline push ups, you know. So
David wanted to know if they had any kind of like DEI classes and stuff you had to take when you were in academy.
no DEI, DEA,
Like
maybe.
like diversity classes he's talking about.
Oh, so no, in the academy we had none of that. It
And you
wasn't
went to academy
until,
like 7 years ago or something. It wasn't recent, David.
well, yeah. So patrol school was 6 years ago. 6.5 years ago. But during patrol school, we did not have any like uh, diversity classes. We did not have any verbal judo classes. it was not until about 2 years later after I graduated, we ended up having, I remember we actually took a diversity class, and we also took a verbal judo class. And I was picked to go to the verbal judo class so I could bring it back to my troop and teach the class about verbal judo. So I actually like both of them. I think it's needed more. There's, like I said, that was now 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
I love verbal judo. It's like Jedi mind tricking people.
It really is. And then the whole thing, like, all right, you can ask somebody, and this is not verbal judo, but after a while of being in law enforcement, you start learning how to ask certain questions, and you're like, so, all right, and I'm always upfront and honest, and I'm like, to the point, right? I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to like, oh, I know there's weed in the car. Let me try to get into the car. No, I'm going to just say, hey, where's the weed at?
You kind of like me. I'm like me. I personally, I've done this for many years, even before it was more socially acceptable. I wasn't going to bust somebody for just some little personal weed. This is even before they even kind of decriminalized it a lot. I'm like, because you know what I never had to chase? You know who never ran from me or fought with me or anything like that? Weed heads. People high on weed never fought me. Crackheads, meth heads, heroin addicts. I've had to fight and chase and do all that with them. I ain't never had, an uppity weed head. But I'm like, oh man. But so I'm like, is this all you got? Yeah. You sure? So if I checked it, I got this right here. Okay. I wouldn't let them take it with them. I would dump it out in front of them. Because I dumped it out in front of them for the simple fact somebody said, oh, you took it home and smoked it. No, I didn't. I dumped it out in front of them. But I never arrested them for it.
Yeah. Same thing with me. Because, a little bit, you're going to back up the system even more than it already is. Our crime lab over here in Mississippi, if I take it from them, I got to go turn it in as evidence. And I'm going to back up the crime lab for a little tiny roach, So I want to ever get the weed from them or whatever, and I would just tell them, I'm like, look, I know there's something in here. I know it's not much, because you can, after a while, you can tell if it's old, new, smoked, or just been in the car.
Yeah.
You can tell all the difference. And so if it's something that I could tell was old or not much of it, and that's another thing, you could tell if there's a lot or a little.
Tony asked another question. Tony has great questions. Tony asked if we have ever seen a law book. Tony, they have law books, like words with laws written in them. Fuck, I'm going to have to go look that shit up. I ain't never seen a law book before. I just thought it was like magic stuff we made up in our heads. So, no, Tony, I've never seen a law book. If you get a hold of one, just email it to me. I don't know, with something E31, Trooper E31.
Yeah, so here in Mississippi, there's a Trooper E31 who, and I haven't looked at a store because I don't like to Monday morning quarterback, because the other day I said Monday night quarterback somebody, and I was told that that's wrong.
Yeah, it's I also had somebody over here, Wayne on YouTube, says it's called Eat It Now, Taste It Later.
That's what it is. Yep.
So Wayne got it right.
Wayne, what's his last name?
I don't know. He's on YouTube, and it just says, on my thing, it says Wayne. That's it. I don't know his last name. It says Eat It Now, Taste It Later.
Well,
I don't know where he's from or anything.
I had a TAC officer named Wayne, so he knows what he's talking about. And I don't know if it's a TAC officer or not, or just coincidence. But yes, it was Eat It Now, Taste It Later. And that's what they would constantly go around the room telling us, like, hurry up and eat it now, taste it later. And it was horrible for me. I had braces, and so I had to peel everything apart. And then also being a female going into a male's world, you don't eat quick. A Southern Belle, you were taught your whole entire life to be a Southern Belle and not eat quick, be very proper, all that. So it was hard for me to get any food in while we were going through patrol school.
So one of my officers, Christina, over there, and I don't know if she's in Maryland or D.C. right now, but she loves Duke the dog. That's who's laying right here behind me. He's one of our. She asked to see Duke. There he is. He's resting. I got him elevated. He's got a sore on the side of his head, Christine. If you don't know, I don't know what it is, but if I can't get it healed up, I'm going to have to bring him to the vet. It's always costing me money. And David says his ex-brother-in-law was a policeman down in Meridian.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things about patrol school and basic, and it's one of those things that once you've gone through it, like when you're in the academy, you think you hate everybody, you wish they would all die. Like all your tax would die. Never show up again.
I only had one guy.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. He's long gone now. But he had these lumps on his arms, and the dude was a dick, and we just called him Lumpy. And I remember I ran into him like several years after the academy, and he walked up to me and started talking to me like we were friends. I'm like, man, fuck you, dude. You were a dick. I still didn't like him. I was like, nah, you were just an ass. You didn't have to be like that, So.
Yeah, there was one that I felt like he was so vindictive towards me. And I told everybody, I was like, he must have been like crushed by some woman, and now he's taking it off on me, out on me, because he was harder on me than anybody else, and he would just constantly pick on me. And even to this day, I'm still very weary of him. Like I saw him, I was testing for a master sergeant position, and I saw him at the testing procedure, and he came up and talked to me and all that, and I was like, this is still weird. I don't trust you. So, cause I don't work with him. He worked in a different troop. So I don't have to work with him a whole lot, but I've talked to him a few times, and every time I had a chance to talk to him, he was very nice and gave me a lot of encouraging advice and, words of wisdom. So, ultimately you have to remember, if you are going through academy, guys and gals, remember it's a game. They don't really hate you. They're going to think you are going to think that they hate you, but they don't. And if they're not, if you don't despise them, they didn't do the job right. So just keep that in mind. Do you agree or what?
Oh yeah, they don't hate you. They're just doing their job. They can just seems like it. Somebody, I don't know if I can find it. It was hilarious. Eddie Imperial says, actually, the Black's Law Dictionary is a magic spell book. Who would have thought it? I didn't know that the Law Dictionary was a magical spell book. I need to find that one that I don't know, makes me not sweat during the summer. I want a spell to keep me from sweating on that motorcycle. Somebody asked if somebody was a real cop. I don't know if you're talking about me or her. Yes, she was a real cop. I'm still a real cop.
I think they, because I think I saw that earlier. I think they at somebody else.
Then David wants to know. He says he was asking basically about those auditors. The people that come around and videotape the cops and stuff like that, and how do we feel about it. Personally, I don't care if they do. My thing is with them, because they have the right to do it. It's a constitutional right. I don't mind being videotaped. What pisses me off about the auditors is they're rude. You don't have to be rude about it. Because I've watched a lot of, it's like, I don't care. Videotape me all day long. I don't care. Most cops are videoing with body cams anyway. But when you're sitting there calling the cop a fool or a sucker or asshole, there's no reason to be rude to anybody, especially when they're not being rude. So if you want to be an auditor, be an auditor. But you ain't got to be a dick about it. Because you only doing that because you want the cop to do something to you, because you don't have a real job, and the only way you get money is to sue people. You got to sue people. If you don't get to sue enough people, you're still stuck in your mommy and daddy's house when you're 45 years fucking old.
Or
making videos on cops.
Controversy. Because if a cop was like, "Hey, bud, I don't care if you video me," like, you think they're going to put that on YouTube? No, because it's not going to get enough attention. So they need the cop to get mad and pissed off.
So they want to be rude about it. I said when I retire, what I was going to do, because we had some around here where I live. Of course, all the cops know now, so they're going to move on to different places because all the cops will see them and it's like whatever. But I said I was going to, when I saw them, I was going to videotape. I was going to audit the auditor while they're videoing the cop. I was going to video the auditor and ask them questions.
So Tony came back on. He's been a great mediator here. Tony came back on. He said, don't roll down the window all the way, or don't roll the window all the way down. So I don't care if somebody doesn't roll down the window.
Okay.
It doesn't
I just
bother
need
me.
enough space to give me your license. That's
Yeah.
all I need. And for me to slide it back in for you to sign it. And if you don't want to sign it, well, in Louisiana, I can bring you to jail for not signing the ticket. I'll refuse to sign. That's fine. I'll just arrest you because speeding is actually really a crime, even though it's a traffic offense. But it's a crime because a ticket, people are like, I'm not signing that. I'm not admitting guilt. I just told you, sir, by signing this is not an admission of guilt. All a ticket is like a subpoena.
Right.
That's all it is. It's a promise to appear in court. A lot of people will pay them because they don't want to appear in court. But it's not saying that you're guilty. Come to court. If you don't sign it and you piss me off, I'm not going to refuse to sign. I'm just going to break your window, pull you out the car by your head, and put you in fucking jail. And yes, I'm that asshole. I've done it. And then they complain about it. He pulled me out my car by my head when I didn't sign a ticket. And the judge looked at him and said, and okay, and because I had the legal right to do it. You don't be a dick. I'm not going to be a dick. I'm just doing a job. Just let me give you your ticket. You don't have to be rude to me. Why you want to be rude? If I'm not being rude to you, why do you want to be rude?
I've had so going back to those auditors and stuff, like I've had, and they're not auditors or anything, but I pulled people over for, like, one person I remember pulling over for no tag. And I was just simply trying to see where the tag is, pulled her over. She's like, why'd you stop me? And that's another thing. Some officers don't like it. And they're like, once you give me your license, I'll explain. I don't care.
I don't do that either. When I make a traffic stop and pull somebody over, the first thing, I'm not introduce myself. My name's on my shirt, embroidered, big as fucking day. Okay. If you can't read, that's your problem. But my name's right there. I don't walk up and say, oh, I'm Deputy so-and-so from such and such parish. I walk up. First thing I tell them out of my mouth, sir or ma'am, the reason I pulled you over is because you were doing 70 and a 50 or whatever,
Right.
First thing out of my mouth is me telling you why I pulled you over. So there's no question about it because it's not a game show. It's not a quiz. I don't walk up and say, do you know why I pulled you over? It's the same a test. Okay. I'm going to tell you why I pulled you over. You don't have to look at me. Well, if you tell me, no, I already told you this is why I stopped you. Well, I wasn't going that fast. Well, that's fine. You don't have to agree with me, but you'll have to take that up in court. Arguing with me on the side of the road is not going to win that battle for you. That's for the courtroom. You're more than welcome to. Please come to court. I welcome it, but I'm not going to sit there. Now, if you keep up with me and your attitude is the way I treat you you're going to dictate the way I treat you. Because somebody on here said, oh, see, they're tyrants and this and all this stuff like that. I don't even ask you your name. Give me your license and your registration, stuff like that. All I want to do is issue the ticket. You know what? 99% of the time, if you have your license with me anyway, and a lot of cops are like this, believe it or not. I don't know about city cops. If I'll pull you over and you're not displaying any kind of thing that would make me think you're up to no good or whatever, I'm going to get it. I'm going to write you your ticket and give your stuff back. I'm not even going to run your license through the computer. Because you know what? If I'm out working traffic, I don't want to know if you have a warrant because I don't want to bring you to jail because I'm writing tickets and I'm not arresting people. I don't want to know. I don't want to know if you have it. So I don't want to run. Because as soon as I call your name in and run it and it pops up that you got a warrant, then I got to put you in jail. Yeah. You see, people don't get it. People don't get it. It's like, look, I'm trying to help you out right now. I'm trying to help you out. All the time.
I'm like, whenever they start giving me those little side-eye looks, hang on. Whenever they start giving me those side-eye looks, then I'm like, look, if you got I'm not going to run your license. Just let me know what's up. And, cause if I put it over the radio, then all these boys are going to come. Where are you? I'll come. No, I don't want anybody in my business. Let me handle my own job. So and then usually they're like, yeah, it's suspended. I haven't paid child support or something like that, or whatever it might be. But, yeah, with the little recording that I was talking about. So I pulled somebody over and she's like, why'd you pull me over? I told her. And then she's like, well, I'm on Facebook Live. I'm recording you. I was like, good. I'm recording you too. And, after I was very polite, very calm with her, she actually ended up putting down the Facebook Live, and she's like, you know what, you're really cool. I've never had a stop like that. And so that's my mentality when it comes to enforcing the law, is try to change that mentality between society and law enforcement. Now, every time it's not going to work out like that. Just like you said, if somebody doesn't want to sign that ticket, they don't have to over here in Mississippi. But if somebody say, hey, you don't want to give me your license, that's a different story. I got to find out who you are. Like, why are you not wanting to give me your license? And at that point, I'm not going to break your window and all of that, because I know my limitations, right? So I'm going to call for a tow truck. I'm going to give them 3 times. That's that verbal judo. I'm going to give them 3 times. And by the third one, if I say, so there's nothing else I can say or do for you to give me your license, if they're like, nope, all right, hey, Jackson, send the next 51 on rotation. And because one way or another, they're about to get out of that car. And I didn't have to use any force or break their car or anything like that. But that's me. That's my way of policing. And just like we have talked back and forth, you have your own way of policing. And I think it's great for you. And I just want people to realize that, stop like trying to be butt heads about me, being a little bit more kind-hearted and talking about, well, oh, that's good. You don't need to be in law enforcement if you can't, enforce the law. I enforce the law. I just have a larger threshold for speeding and other violations. So it's just different police work, and it needs that diversity that we've talked about. So.
Oh yeah, that's why you got to have on. All right, David, I'll talk to you later. Everybody, y'all can stop asking. She did not post the pictures anywhere, and she's not sharing the video. Okay. I asked earlier, and she told me no, and I was going to do it on Slack. I really didn't ask her, but she's not going to do it, so stop asking. George, do you not have NCIC in your patrol car? Yes, I do. But if I run something and something pops up, it sends alarms off, not just to me, but to dispatch also, because it's all connected. So I'll put the plate in. I've got the plate logged in there. I'm not trying to run a license through it because I had a Louisiana State Trooper called, what do you call it? The suspension shuffle. That, you pull somebody over. I'm sure you've had it. It's like, oh, I need your license, stuff like that. And they start looking for it all over the place. They're checking their pockets and all stuff like that. They know their license is suspended. And they know they don't have one. But I guess they're going to search for it in all the crevices of their car, even though they think one's going to magically appear. I'm like, look, if you're suspended, just tell me. Because if I run you and you got something else pop, it's going to be bad. Tell me the truth. We can handle this way. It can be much easier. So all you people on here, it's like, oh, cops are tyrants and we just out here. We don't protect people. We work for the corporation. That's not true. You can believe what you want to believe. I don't care. When I started doing this job in 95, I made $900 a month before taxes, okay, and paid $400 a month in child support. It had nothing to do with the money, trust me. It had nothing to do with the money at all. I was not making, starvation wages to do this job because I just, wanted to be rich or something. I'm not working for no corporation. I've never violated anybody's constitutional rights that I know of, or if I did, I sure in the hell didn't do it on purpose. So.
Right. And I mean, that's the problem with, yes, there are bad officers out there, but I don't want to say they're bad officers because they want to break the law and they want to violate somebody's right. I think that they just don't understand fully their job, and that's a rookie versus somebody who's been on for a while, is they think they can do certain things and get away with it, or they just don't know that what they're doing is wrong. So here in Mississippi, we're highway patrol. So there's gray areas to our job, like radar. We can do stationary radar in like large cities over a certain population. But smaller cities, if we're in the city limit, we cannot do stationary radar. We have to go from point A to point B. So if we're on like a county road going from one highway to another and we stop somebody for speeding, yes, we can give them a citation. However, we can't keep going back and forth because we're not supposed to be doing that. So there are little gray areas in it, and a lot of new troopers don't know that. A lot of citizens don't know that, and unfortunately, it's one of those new troopers that either take advantage of that just to be like, oh, I want to go get tickets in this area, or they just don't know. And I assume it's the latter. They just don't know. And that doesn't excuse them, just like people say all the time, well, I didn't know that what the speed limit was here. Well, that's not an excuse to break the law. So I'm not excusing their behavior at all. I think there just needs to be more training when it comes to constitutional laws, and so people won't get sued,
Well, oh, I know. We got the Savicate on my end on Facebook says, I love it when they refer to it in plural. Man, they ain't suspended. Like the license.
Yeah.
Got Travis Cotton over here. He just knows me so well. He says, I've never been pulled over without having my license being run, and you are lying. Glad you know that. Are you like a human polygraph person since you know what I've done?
Yeah, I had the same thing earlier today. Somebody commented on one of my TikTok videos and said something. They said, why are you so bitter or something like that? And I was like, how am I bitter? Like, I literally said, I'm not bitter and I'm not mad. And they were like, well, I know you are. I'm thinking like, well, hey, that's kind of odd that you know my personality and what's going on in my head, but cool if that's what you think. It's been a lot of fun, I will say, because being a former state trooper, that people are tired of hearing. But the reason why I say that is because not every TikTok video is watched by every single person. And me saying I'm a former state trooper now gives me credibility for what I'm about to talk about, the subject matter. But it's just funny how people think and assume things that I haven't even said. So, like I said, I think marijuana should be legalized.
But I agree with you. I think it should be too. Tax the shit out of it.
And people are like, oh, so you would want somebody to go smoke marijuana and drive? I'm like, when did I say that? I said marijuana should be legal. I mean, it's like
alcohol's legal. I don't want people to drink alcohol and drive.
Right. But
that's just stupid. People are stupid.
It's so like out of the box thinking, and we in society, and I understand the whole sovereign citizen thing, and I'm the type of person that I'm more of a libertarian than anything, and I think that's, government shouldn't have as much control on citizens. However, those are, you have a fine line. If you want to be a part of United States, you want to be protected by the military, there's a fine line that, some things you have to give up and some things you need to fight for. And, that whole marijuana, and it just is outside the box. But we're always taught our whole life to be basically robots, to go by the book, to only believe what we're told. And so, Tony, even though you like to get on here and talk shit about us,
his cousin, Tony's cousin's here too.
Oh,
Roach. Roach is here with Tony. I believe they're related. I think they're cousins because Roach says we need a system reform, and he's So I think, Tony, did you call back up? Did you call back? Of course, we got our little sovereign citizen, Mr. Eddie Imperial over here, with his, I can travel and I can do this. I have a do not detain. Okay. Good for you. I mean, you can buy a white privilege card on fucking Amazon too. That's not real. You can have a do not detain all you want. Good for you. I'll put it in your property after I detain you and book you.
So that's
and you can have it when you bond out.
Well, I think it's funny because the reason why I do all these controversial videos is because I get a lot of these sovereign citizens and other like don't tread on me type. Is it 3%ers or 1%ers? What are they called?
One
1%ers.
Start three. I don't know. It's something.
I don't. But they get on my page and start talking about how the Constitution is the law and any articles or amendments to it is not the law. All this stuff. I agree with certain aspects of what they're trying to say, but at the same time, because you live in this country, you have to abide by, laws and until you change it. And I'm not saying that it's right for the government to control every single thing we do. I absolutely don't agree with it. And I think there are too many laws, but that's why I try to do the best I can at being that middleman, because without me, who else is there? Who else would do it? It'd be total, is it tyranny?
Yeah, that's it. Tyranny. Tony Roach said, you've already earned the hate. Love you, brother. Work hard for it. every bit of it. I can feel the hate juices flowing through me. You know what? I think I may. No, I'm not going to lie to you. Hold on a second. Let me check right here in my pocket. Nope. I'm all out of fucks for you. There's no fucks to give to you. I don't care, Roach. That's what you don't get. Y'all think you bother me. Y'all are fucking entertainment for me. And us. I love it. Our listeners think it's funny. The funny shit there's, I mean, y'all are funny. So keep it up. Keep it up. I just love it. So that's why you haven't been kicked off. That's why you're still here. Come on, Tony. Roach. Yeah.
I think
do y'all get together? How does that work out? How's that get when y'all get together? Y'all just get together and I don't know.
Well, my phone is about to go dead. So I guess this would be a perfect exit. I don't know how long we've been on.
An hour and 20 minutes.
Okay, good. Well, that'd be a perfect exit for both. I'm going to get off of TikTok. Thank you guys.
Don't hang up yet. I'm going to end mine out, but okay. Don't hang up yet.
Yeah, I'm just getting off TikTok.
Okay. Everybody, I hope y'all enjoyed it. I had fun. I hope she comes back because this was just fun. And we'll be back Wednesday for sure on for the midweek news. So y'all come back for that. Everybody be safe. Watch your back. Watch your partner's back. Remember, we ain't no sheepdogs around here. We're lions. See y'all Wednesday.
'Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks. I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day.